What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. The old intro for the one person who asked for it in the comment section the other day. I read through every single day. I wouldn't be here without y'all, and a lot of card choices also come from there. So if I missed something, let me know down below. That being said, let's go ahead and get into today's market watch. And if you've been living under a rock, aka off the internet for the last 24 hours, you might have missed Hungry Burger getting its own support in an archetype. It's the last card I would have thought Konami actually would give that kind of support, even though people have asked for it. The last couple of years on R&D, they just feel so much more in tune with either jokes or the community or things, and giving chances to artists. Like the live twin archetype concept being VTubers is so wild to me still. But let's go ahead and talk about this one. Hungry Burger Worldwide Edition is sold out. The OG Spell Ruler as well as the newer ones from Legendary Collections. Luckily, we get a reprint there coming up soon, just in time. People will be able to bust open Magic Ruler / Spell Ruler packs more realistically. And then finally, the Magic Ruler itself, first edition, is all the way on like page 13 for the actual first listings on it that are left at 16 some odd dollars. Now, the sales rates are actually going insane. 2 people buying into this all through today. You'd have to go a while to actually get to the last couple of days. And this card's no stranger to buyouts, actually. You have ancient memes, such as people eating them and it's spiking to $3, it going up to $8, and an ancient meme from our own community. Despite all that text on Hungry Burger, you can't widow anchor it. Can't tie down Hungry Burger or Fortress Whale. Y'all from the streams would know. But when it comes to the support, let's actually read through one of the cards that just is why this is going this way. If this card is special summoned, you can negate the effects of as many face-up cards your opponent currently controls as possible. That's also face-up traps, floodgates, etc. until the end of this turn. Then if it was special summoned by a Nouvelez monster's effect, tribute all monsters they control. Second effect, quick effect. You can target one opponent's attack position monster, tribute it, and if you do, special summon one Hungry Burger from your hand or deck. So if they're link summoning, they're going to be having to put stuff in attacks, alright? So any deck that would be depending on that, not able to continuously go out in defense, aka decks that also like die to Scareclaw, I suppose. This is a really good card, and then it gives you extra advantage and you can do crazy things. So seriously, a deck that actually goes Hungry Burger seems like it might be worth playing. Other ritual cards are starting to go even faster. Drytron Nova was already going up towards this format, people saying Drytron might be back a little bit, and generic ritual support that can mix into other things is always going to be looked at, and there's only one printing of this, and it is up towards $15. Also, Diviner of Herald is starting to bump up for the Prismatic Secret Rare. This was actually on my radar to suggest heading into the format, but then, you know, ban list, crazy, all the different things. I didn't really get to sit down and do as many suggestions, and this is starting to slowly go up. I would still get it now around that $8 mark, especially for the Prismatic Secret Rare. Its ceiling could be a lot higher. It's not really on a reprint radar right now that I'm aware of. Like, Maze of Memory seems pretty full, so it could be a while before you see another copy of this card, and at $8, it's a really good freaking card in my opinion. I like the Prismatic Secret Rare personally more than the OG, but the OG does shine in its own way, and both are at pretty decent prices depending on, you know, what version you want to get. That Secret Rare to Secret Rare competition still that the Megatons tried to do less of, they did a lot that last year, right? Steel Swarm Roach is getting bought out, and not just for past formats. People are talking about it being good against Kashtira, since those are monsters that summon themselves, and being able to put this on in the boards. I do think it's kind of an interesting concept to see this come back once again, and people tried to make it good. It has been through several metas, rumbled about, talked about, and it's a card that is pretty darn good with 2 printings, but at the same time, I will warn, I feel like a lot of people end up mistaking what it can actually do and trying to overplay versus its effects. So also know your rulings with this card on what it can actually stop. Lava Golem here is going a bit wild once again. This is one that has been bought out multiple times heading into the last format and throughout the last format, and here it continues to just get stronger and stronger in terms of people actually going for it. Super low quantities on a ton of different versions here. Amazing Defenders has several buyouts that have been happening, but now the Purely is up towards $20 and only 9 listings. This is wild. Yeah, lowest are 25 at this point. And people just don't want to open this set at all for the price that it's at. And it's starting to baby bump up because of the crazy prices some of those ultras are getting into the hype. Like Ohime, the Mikanko, and the collector rares as well, also getting buyouts now. I remember on pre-sales, people made fun that the Hare came down in price, and now it's also back up in price as people are looking at building versions of the decks. Still wild to me where Card Trooper is lower, but its quantities are starting to go too. People are really starting to eat up this set pretty fast right now. It'll be interesting to see what that does towards the sealed. Now this card, I don't know why it's up other than it reads good on paper, so if you know what it's actually being used for, it's gone from a quarter to like 70 cents. It only has one printing out of Phantom Darkness and it has a funny name, Metaboo Globster. When you tribute this card for the tribute summon of a dark monster, you special summon 3 Metaboo tokens, Fiend Dark, level 1, attack 0, defense 0, in defense position. These tokens cannot be tributed for a tribute summon. I don't know if I missed like a dark monster that quick tribute special summons or like tribute summons itself, but it has to be specifically the tribute summon of a dark monster, not like a trap effect. It's pretty darn specific, but that is also a lot of token fodder to do link, synchros, those kind of things. So a very interesting card nonetheless. Let me know what combo or what's come up to have people actually on this. But yeah, spiking up here, triple, still under $1 for now. Lady Labyrinth, speaking of trap goodness, is starting to go back up for the Starlight Rare by about 10%. The lowest listings are around 330, quickly towards 350, and the sales are hitting 330 very consistently now to where they were previously around 300. So that is $30, 10%, a pretty darn big rise when you also consider platforms like this, you're also going to pay sales tax on top, etc. This is why it's really good to hunt things down in Facebook groups when it comes to top-end cards sometimes. Just don't get scammed. Animador Archosaur. I said that the secret rare is something I would buy as it bottomed out. Dinosaur is here. I don't know why I left this card out of my mind as people were buying out dinosaur stuffs. The secret rare has ended up spiking here, so if you did get it when I told you to, pretty good job. Again, I can just be wrong for the right reasons or right for the wrong reasons. It's not as if I anticipated there suddenly being dinosaur support. Whenever you player brain versus market brain, you kind of bank on, will this get a relevant, good-looking reprint versus when the next support will be versus how is generic support like zombie stuff done over time, right? So you can just make kind of calls like that for the long term and end up being right, but not really knowing what time they pan out. Runic Fountain getting a buyout here. I literally asked on Twitter, hey, this deck, is it bad versus Kashtira? People don't seem to be talking about it. Someone bought out the ultra rares here. I don't necessarily think it's great in the format, but I haven't seen it tested. Let me know why this is getting bought out right now, other than maybe someone had that same player brain thought. But at the same time, I was thinking, it still doesn't seem the best, but Master Duel players might get in with this deck. It's an interesting buyout nonetheless. Konami released the Pot Collection, which also has cards, so you can't yell, get to the cards at me. They come with 14 parallel rare cards on OCG cardstock, a quarter-century secret rare, which we have seen the OCG Twitter tease exactly how they look like. It's basically a Starlight rare, but with a 25th stamp on it. And the figures, they look okay, but consider this. This is going for like 160, then shipping, etc. It's like 200 if you buy one. They don't charge extra shipping and handling right now if you buy multiple, though, at least in the US. So if you're ordering with friends, trying to get them cheaper that way, it may be the way to go. But I think early on you'll have a lot of different ways this can end up because I've seen the collectible communities, and the fact that it's up for order still right now screams one of two things to me. It's either not getting that much interest or going to be grossly over-ordered since it is ordered per, like, they're actually making it to the order, so they might just stop taking orders at one point. And it was also released in the OCG, so that's going to slow international demand. But later on, it can end up picking up depending. And when things like this first come out, people who just want the cards and people who just wanted the figures, they'll end up swapping, trading, selling, that kind of thing. And that'll be the initial sweet spot to really deal hunt with this versus a lot of vendor bros who got in thinking they would insta flip double, seeing panicking as it it comes down, because a lot of people will list it like 60% profit, then 40%, and it's all crashing down, I ordered so many of these. You can have a lot of ways it can go early. It also could be grossly underestimated and ordered, as vendors who speculate order a lot less through this region, seeing that it went slowly like this. It'll be really one to watch, but personally I think it'll be a slow burner. I only got 3 myself, and because I can split it up for stream prizes so much, as well as have my own. Like, there's 14 different cards, then the special 25th, then you have all the figures. I think it'll be great for actually stream prizes, in my opinion, for myself. Now, getting to the merch, Mana Moon, code What's Good 5 for 5% off, and support the channel directly will work there again on items. And I really like the goat dice being back here, Madolches, as well as Ghost Sisters, and the Gengar Goose. So if you haven't looked over here in a while, go to What's Good 5 for 5% off, and to support the channel directly will work over here. And I just love the Shadol dice too. These classics being up on here. Photon Hypernova. What did I say? I said the top 2 cards would start to split apart, and you have a ton of listings here despite the pre-sale banner from top rated sellers. Tomorrow the pre-sale should slip off, and we'll see what the true competition is like. But already the Pressured Planet is starting to pull way ahead of the Kashtira Theosis, and then the Triple Tactic Thrust coming back down after ban list hype. It'll be a wild one. Now I gotta call out the DB Grinder. He said Gravekeeper Inscription, it would be going up here versus them prices. I want to go back to Player Brain versus Market Brain. Player Brain can make you a ton of money when you're a very good player, but pre-sales is awesome. It's a crazy system to navigate, where I'm wrong a lot of the time too. You are gambling when it comes to pre-sales, and navigating that as a whole is a wild ride. Player Brain can get in the way sometimes, versus I think this card is definitely underpriced versus its potential at this point as well. That screams to me at some point it might be going up, but Photon Hypernova is going to be cracked in mass looking for the Kashtira cards, and a lot of people are going to ignore pretty much everything else that's going to come down in price. Like the Labyrinth stuff is starting to come down slowly during the pre-sale period too. I said I thought that would be an $8 to $12 card, and it's heading there also. So again, pre-sales, usually a couple things end up going up, unless it's an absurd set where like Rise of the Duels, 8 to 12 things end up going up versus pre-sales. And then the sealed itself would go up, right? Where keeping it sealed would have been better still. Rika Glamour is up in price here. Again, a lot of people are looking at this deck on their tier list, and for the format, because it was good pre-Ishizu, so Ishizu stuff and Tier Lament being chopped down, people are looking at this again. I don't have the strongest opinion on this. I do think it might be a deck that people are still too aware of in order to like just take people by surprise, but it's still pretty strong as well. So those plant decks, I feel like they could be in the top cut for sure. But again, people are still more aware of them in recent history, so surprising people will be harder. Also, on the Therion side of things, Regulus Starlight is starting to spike up here once again. We talked about this, how people are talking about how bricky and clunky it is versus how actually great and good it is, and how you should be buying the pieces for it. I feel like Regulus is a really good card, and what people are going for with the engine, I don't think it's the worst in the world. But again, I also softly do believe that I personally never liked playing Gamma because of Psyframe Driver, yet it was still a huge part of the metagame, especially later on, right? Like Psyframe Gamma, having to play Driver for it killing me so many games. So people playing bricks for power and consistency engines, it happens, and it could be happening here. It'll be interesting to watch. Infernity Doom Dragon, I have no clue on this one. Let me know in the comment section down below. Is it past format? Is it something current I'm not seeing? I would guess past format if I just had to throw a dart at the dartboard. Then you have Mathmech Equation going up here. Another deck that was good heading up towards formats was the Mathmech Cyburst Adagnister kind of deck that melded together, putting out multiple towers like monsters hard to deal with. It'll be interesting to see how that actually ends up doing, but I do feel like it's more of a back burner, especially with cards like Lava Golem running around. Like, you'd have to be careful about the boards you're putting out with people trying to play for the format. And then we've gotten to the cards, we've gotten to some merch. How about a licensed ATEM on the horse statue by this Fantastic Territory Studios? Now, there's another studio who's actually doing an unlicensed horse statue that came out today as well. So it's so weird to see competition like that, like unlicensed put up, here's the licensed one put up at the same day, same time, kind of crazy stuff. But it's really cool to see this studio on the foreign statue sites that sell both unlicensed and licensed statues. They've marked this studio as being licensed, and I also see the copyright on here, so I would believe that it would be a licensed statue. Do correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty darn sure it's licensed. It's just awesome to see this kind of work and our statue space begin to grow this way, though. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. And I love showing off merch like this. And even if it's like fan-made or official, this is a super cool direction to see us head. I was watching these episodes the other day during a storm. We put on Yu-Gi-Oh! To calm the dogs when it starts like raining and pouring. They love cartoons. They love Yu-Gi-Oh! This happened to be on Pluto TV. So this just happened to bam, hit me in the feels as well. I'm trying to spend less on figures, I swear.